guys, welcome back to Sparkman Homestead. My name is Krista. It is kind of a frosty morning out and I am kind of taking it slow today. I am getting my tea started. Now, I had mentioned a while ago to you guys about how I was trying to get off of tea and I was trying to get off coffee, not tea. I'm trying to get on the tea. So I have been starting my mornings with this yerba mate. I've actually been fluctuating between the yerba mate and this Irish breakfast tea. It's just the one from Trader Joe's. I've been finding that I'm starting, and I don't know if it's still me trying to get over the sinus infection, but I've been finding that I'm getting headaches, and I think maybe it is like caffeine headaches. Not sure. So I've been throwing that Irish breakfast in just to see, because that does have caffeine in it, just to kind of see if that's maybe causing it. But this morning I am going to start with my yerba mate. So all as I do is I just take one of my little reusable tea bags. I just put a teaspoon in. Now, the very first day I did throw those cocoa nibs in that I got from Azure Standard, and it didn't really give it a cocoa taste. It didn't, maybe I didn't put enough in, it just didn't get it to that, it didn't give it that mocha taste that I thought it was going to. But I'm still really enjoying the yerba mate. I let it steep for about 5 minutes, and then I put some cream in it, and I think it tastes amazing. And it's, other than the headaches, I am transitioning off of coffee amazing, because this stuff really does help. So yeah, I'm just getting that ready. I am also had some bread that needs to get used up, so I made another one of those overnight French toast casseroles. I have my oven preheating at 350 degrees. I actually just need to get it out right now. So it's been sitting in my oven overnight, or in my fridge. It's been sitting in my fridge overnight. This is the topping, and I'm just gonna get out some chicken drumsticks for supper. Oh, this is just the topping. Have that kind of going on for breakfast. We are at day number 15 for the pantry challenge. Tonight's supper, I am planning another experiment again. I am going to try to do some drumsticks in the air fryer, but I'm going to try to do them like a southern fried drumstick. So I'm hoping that that turns out, but those drumsticks are still rock frozen, so I need to get them defrosted for supper tonight. My hope is also to try to make a mashed potatoes using my canned potatoes. I've heard it's possible. We're gonna see. The other fun thing that I got done last night is I got my seed starting rack all set up. So I have some grow lights there. The bottom one needs to be adjusted, and I need to actually get another one for the bottom, but I have my grow lights there, and then I have my heating mats there, and I have it sitting in front of a window that gets the most sunlight in our house. So I got all of that done last night because we are January the 15th, so I know it's still pretty early to get like my peppers and my tomatoes and all of that. Most of my stuff, it's too early still. I'm probably gonna be starting my seeds mid-February to get them good and established. However, there are a couple things that I do need to get started. I need to get started my celery, which I'm gonna get started next week, and I need to get a couple of my herbs started and my kohlrabi. So I got all of that set up so that we can get those kind of starting to germinate, because celery takes a long time. And I know I had mentioned it in one of my other videos, but this year I am really gonna focus on trying to get a good crop of celery. Last year I grew it and it grew really tall and skinny and just really like bitter almost. And it was 100% because I wasn't watering it enough. Celery is a huge, it just drinks a lot. It needs a lot of water in order to grow a good crop, at least from the research that I've done. I am definitely not an expert when it comes to gardening. This is going to be my 4th gardening season here. So I am so excited to take you guys along though. It is a super frosty morning this morning. That's why I was very thankful that Steven fed the chickens for me. But yeah, we've got frost on everything. But the sun is out, so today we actually have plans to go and clean the chicken coop out. It needs to have some of the bedding removed, just because we've had a couple of really cold nights and days. They don't come out of their coop when it's really cold. They stay in there, so it gets dirty pretty quick. So I need to get in there today and clean that out. We have some, when we built that chicken coop, we built some eaves troughs on top of it, like gutters, and we actually put a drop down spout on it. And the reasoning we did that is because our hope is to have a rain barrel underneath that to be able to catch some rainwater so that I can easily just give the chickens water out there, because we don't have a main water line that goes all the way out there. So it would be extremely helpful for me to at least have some bit of a water source out there. That way I'm not lugging 5-gallon buckets back and forth to the water source. So we've got lots of fun plans today. So again, today I'm going to take you along on day number 15 of getting these, experimenting with this air fryer chicken wing or drumstick recipe. I'm excited. So I am just going to get this stuff in the oven and get my tea ready. And oh, another thing I am going to do is I cleaned my freezers out yesterday, well, my little kitchen freezer, because it needed to get cleaned out. I found 4 loaves of bread in there, which I was able to make breadcrumbs yesterday, and I found this half pack of bacon. So it is all defrosted now, so I am just going to quickly fry that up so we can have that. But I also needed to get out some pears. I had, one of you guys suggested putting fruit into that overnight French toast thing, and I completely forgot to do it last night when I was prepping it. So what I am going to do today is I'm actually going to get a jar. These are just pears canned with some cinnamon sticks, and I think I put a little bit of a light syrup in them. So we're going to have these on the side. So French toast, bacon, and some pears. That will be our breakfast for day number 15. And then, yeah, so let me just get that started. One thing I want to make in advance while that French toast thing is cooking is I want to make up some of this. I need some buttermilk to make that southern fried drumsticks tonight, and I also want to make some biscuits to go along with it. So I am going to make up some of this buttermilk powder. It comes together super easy. Now, to make 1 cup of it, what you do is you add 3 tablespoons of this buttermilk powder and you blend it with 1 cup of cold water. I am doubling it because I know I need 1 cup for the biscuit recipe, and I'm probably going to need about half of a cup for the, what is it that we're making? The drumsticks. So I'm going to add 6 tablespoons of this buttermilk powder. It's kind of chunky. And you know what, guys? I think I'm actually, instead of hand blending this, I think I'm going to do this in my Vitamix, because this is really, really crumbly and I want to make sure that it gets well incorporated. So let me just get my blender out. Okay, so I just have my Vitamix out. Sometimes I call it Vitamix, sometimes I call it Vitamix. I like to just switch things up. Just my blender. So I have that 6 tablespoons of buttermilk powder in here. We'll just dump it in there, and then I have 2 cups of water. It should be cold water. Okay, and then we'll just blend it up really quick. There we go. Perfect and smooth. I absolutely love this stuff. It works really, really well. So the reason I did this now is because I want it to go into my fridge and kind of have an opportunity to get even colder. It works out better when I'm making biscuits to have the cold buttermilk. So I'm going to get this put into a mason jar and then just throw this into my fridge. We have still have 35 minutes left on that casserole. So, and then I had the bacon done. If you can't tell, my house is really smoky right now. That bacon had a lot of grease in it, and it like caused my house to become smoke filled. So it's a little hazy in here right now. Okay, I just took the breakfast casserole out of the oven. There's my plate, got my casserole, and then this is the pears. Guys, we can these together. These are the cinnamon pears from the pear tree from our friend's house. They are super yummy. And then I got a couple pieces of bacon. I am going to go and enjoy my breakfast, and then I want to get outside. That sun is outside right now, and it is so gorgeous out there. So I really want to get outside and get that chicken coop all cleaned up. But I definitely need my fuel first, so I'm gonna have my breakfast first. I just got inside from cleaning the chicken coop and burning some cardboard, and look what I found in my garden. Carrots. Oopsie. This fun one. This guy is like a little fat guy. Found some yummy carrots. That is super awesome to have because I don't have any fresh carrots right now, so yay. It is 53 outside, but I don't know if you can see, it's just absolutely gorgeous out there. And I think when you go so long in the cold weather, as soon as the sun comes out, it's like, even though it's only 53, it feels amazing out there. So I am just making a loaf of sourdough bread while I'm getting it started so that it will be ready tomorrow morning. I actually ended up doing that experiment where I made a loaf with water and I made a loaf with milk. So I will insert that clip now because I did it last week. Just to kind of show, I videoed it just to show you guys, so I will put that clip in here now. Today is the day we are finally going to do the comparison between the water sourdough and the milk sourdough. So I am just getting the first batch, which will be the water one, and everything I'm going to do like for like as far as measurements. So for the water, we need 350 grams of water. We got 351, that's fine. And then we're gonna clear the scale, and then we're gonna add 50 grams of starter. So we got 50 right on the nose. Okay, give this a quick stir. We'll clear it. And then we're gonna add 10 grams of salt, clear it. And then we're gonna add 500 grams of flour, 500 on the nose. Okay, let's give this a rough stir. Okay, and I need to go get a wet cloth. Okay, and we're gonna cover this and then we'll come back and stretch and fold. All right, let's do this one. So we're gonna clear the scale and 350 grams of water, or of milk. Okay, clear it. 500 grams of starter, or 50 grams of starter. Give this a stir. 10 grams of salt. And then 500 of flour. Same thing, we're gonna give this a quick stir. Get it all incorporated. It's definitely colder because the milk was cold. So I don't know if that's gonna play a difference or not. And I think we have a little bit more flour in this one. It's definitely not as sticky, but that could be because of the extra flour. Okay, and we'll leave this one rest again. Okay, experiment is started. It is the next morning. I just put the regular sourdough, the water-based sourdough, I put that into the oven, so it's doing its cook now. So this is the milk one. Didn't get much of a rise, but it could be because my house is really cold. The water one didn't get much of a rise either. Also, I think that I've kind of flawed this experiment a little bit because I think I over-floured this one. I think this one has more flour in it than the other one. So it may not be a true experiment. So I don't know, we'll see. So what I'm doing right now is I just have some white rice flour. And I'm just putting this at the bottom of my bowl, and this prevents sticking. I also, when I put it on the parchment paper before I put it in the oven, I also put this stuff down. So let's get it out of the bowl and kind of do a stretch and fold on it. It is, you know what this batter is reminding me of? This dough. This dough is reminding me of a bagel dough. It is a little bit more tough than the other dough, but again, that could be because I have more flour in it. I don't know. It definitely feels different. So all I'm doing is I'm just doing a stretch on it just to kind of tighten the dough up a little bit. Yeah, dough definitely feels a lot different than the other stuff. Okay, and then we're just gonna put it in here and leave it to rest. We have to wait for that other dough to finish, so we're just gonna leave this to rest while that other one is cooking. So we have 5 more minutes till that other loaf has to come out. So I am just going to get this loaf, the milk loaf, I'm gonna get it on parchment paper. What I'm doing is just sprinkling this white rice flour. Just sprinkle it on the bottom, it helps prevent sticking. We're just gonna take our loaf. It's definitely holding its shape better than the other one did. And then what I'm gonna do is just score this loaf. You can kind of do it however you like. I kind of have a little design that I like to do. Okay, I can actually smell that one loaf, so I want to get it out because I don't want it to burn. Okay, so there is our regular loaf. This is the one with the water. So we have our Dutch oven in here. And we are gonna put our loaf in there. Okay, and it goes for 30 minutes. Okay, it's time to get, this is the milk bread we're getting out of the oven. So I let it do its cooking. I did the cooking exactly the same as the other one. Just on observation alone, this is a definitely more dense loaf. And I believe it's more dense because, again, I think I screwed up and put too much flour in it. So I'll get the other one. This is the water loaf, and this is the one we just took out. So definitely can see a difference between them. Again, milk, water. And again, this is a heavier, well, I can't really pick it up because it's too hot right now, but this is a denser loaf than this one. This one is really pretty light. So I'm gonna let these cool for at least an hour before we cut open and look into them, but this did get nice ears on it. I like it. I'm excited to try the difference. Okay, I am super excited to open these up. We will open them up and then we'll compare what they look like inside. So this is the milk one. We'll just cut it in half. Oh, it definitely cuts really nice. Okay, let's see. Oh yeah, the inside it is a different texture. Okay, that's the milk one. This is the water one. Little tougher of a crust. Let's see what the inside looks like. More air bubbles. Okay, let's get this in half. Okay. So here, so this one definitely got a better rise on it. The water one is more airy. This is definitely a more dense one, which I could tell by the dough, and it is it feels heavier. So, and it is more yellow. That is the difference between the two of them. The bottom is milk, top is water. Cut them. I should also add that they are still a little hot. Okay, there's our milk one. I usually use an electric knife to cut these because it cuts a lot easier. This is making a complete disaster of this loaf. Oh my gosh. True test, we have to put butter on them. So guys, so far, I'm still liking the water. I am still liking the airiness of the water one, but I also want to note, this one really reminds me of a sandwich bread. This one reminds me of sourdough. I don't know if it's because I added extra flour to this one by accident or the milk, but it does not taste sourdough. This reminds me of like a no-knead bread. The sourdough tastes like sourdough. My overall review between the milk and the water is hands down the water. I am not a fan of making sourdough with milk. I will continue to make it with water, but I'm glad I experimented with that. I am still going to use that book though, because she does have a whole bunch of other recipes like the sourdough biscuits, and I think there's the sourdough cornbread in there also. So I will still use that book for those, but I am going with the OG water sourdough. I think it still tastes the best. So I now have some leftover stew from the other night. I am gonna go and eat this for lunch. So I just wanna kind of interject here. I was just up editing the first part of this video, and I realized I told you guys about the book. This is the book that I am referring to. It is the Without Wheat, Milk and Eggs book that I picked up from the Goodwill outlets. This is the one that kind of got me thinking about even the possibility of making sourdough with milk. And so I was saying that I was still going to try to use this because she does have quite a bit of fun recipes in here, and I like kind of having this on hand so that if I ever don't have milk, eggs, or wheat, I can just come to this book and see what she suggests. So yeah, this is the book that I was referring to, so I just wanted to interject and say that. So that was a super fun experiment doing that with the sourdough. I definitely prefer the water. I found that, and this was just my personal experience, I found that the water one maintained the sourdough taste, whereas the one that was made with milk kind of tasted more like a sandwich bread, like a commercialized sandwich bread. That loaf, that one that we made with the milk, that is actually the loaf that I used in my breakfast casserole this morning. So we didn't end up eating it all, and again, I think maybe it's just because it's different. It didn't have that sourdough taste to it. So I don't know. You guys give it a try. It's really neat to see the difference in the bread. Like there was even a difference in the way that the color of the bread ended up turning out. I don't know if the camera captured it very well, but the one with the milk, and it's probably because I use like a raw milk, that one turned out a little bit yellow, so it was really cool. So that was a fun experiment. So now I just have my sourdough ready, waiting for the stretch and folds, and then I'm gonna make that tomorrow morning because we don't have any more bread left, and I like to at least have a loaf of bread ready for us. So it is 2:30, so I'm not gonna get supper started just yet. I'm actually gonna go up and try to get some computer work done. Okay, it's time to get dinner started. So the recipe that I am making tonight is from a blog called Divas Can Cook. She also has a YouTube channel. That's actually where I found this recipe, but it did link me to her blog. So I will leave a link for the recipe below. This is an air fryer southern fried chicken. I am using drumsticks for this. This recipe calls for 2 pounds of chicken, but she does specify in the recipe that she used 6 drumsticks. So I have actually taken my drumsticks and I have taken the skins off of 3 of them and left the skins on the other 3. I am going to do a little experiment and see which one I like better, whether I like to have the skins on it or the skins off. I can't remember what she does on the video. It didn't specify on the website whether to skin them or not. I think you leave the skin on traditionally, but I just want to do a little experiment with this. So what we have to make first is we have to make the spice mix, because you do have to coat these chickens before anything else. You have to coat them in a light spice mix. So we will get that going. Have a little bowl here. Okay, so to this small bowl, we're gonna add 2 teaspoons of salt. It does say sea salt. I'm just gonna use the Redmond's real salt. Then we need to add 1.5 teaspoons of black pepper. Then we need to add 1.5 teaspoons of garlic powder, 1.5 teaspoons of paprika. I am using a smoked paprika because I want that smoky taste in it. I don't know if that'll be a mistake or not, but that's what we're gonna use. 1 teaspoon of onion powder. My onion powder is really rough, so I just need to kind of smash it a bit. Got a whole bunch of clumps in it. And then 1 teaspoon of Italian seasoning. So this is the herb Italian seasoning, not the dressing one, just the herb mix. Okay, so we are going to just kind of stir this up. That's what it looks like. Okay, so it says set aside. So now what we need to do is we need to put the chicken into this bowl here. Hopefully this is big enough, because we are just gonna coat it with a tablespoon of that spice mix. Washed my hands. Whenever I'm dealing with chicken, I am like overly cautious with washing my hands. I wash them a lot. Okay, so we are gonna take about a tablespoon of this seasoning and we are going to coat the chicken. And then we also need to add a splash of oil to this just to help it absorb. So I'm just gonna use some avocado oil. Should be enough. Okay, we're just gonna set this aside and let that kind of absorb in. Okay, so now to a Ziploc baggie. This is a gallon size Ziploc baggie. We are gonna add 1 cup of self-rising flour. I don't know if you can sub for another kind of flour, like just an all-purpose. This is the first time making this recipe, so I'm really just kind of sticking to what it suggests to do. So it says 1 cup. Couldn't quite get a full cup in there. Here we go. And then we need to add a 1/4 cup of cornstarch. Now I had looked at a couple of different recipes and every single recipe had cornstarch in it, and every single recipe says it is like essential to getting the good like fried chicken taste. So we are gonna add a 1/4 cup of cornstarch. Normally I would use arrowroot, but because this is the first time making this recipe, I don't really want to veer away from it and start using my own stuff. I really want to try it for what it's written as. So we're going to use cornstarch. And then we have to add the rest of this seasoning that we made. Now, she does note and say that you really need to make sure that this flour mixture is well seasoned. And the reasoning is because that is what you're gonna primarily taste when you bite into the chicken. And if you have a very bland flour mix, the chicken's not gonna be good and flavored. So you wanna make sure that this is good and seasoned. She says if it is not, then go ahead and add extra salt and other seasonings to it. So you may need to make more of this seasoning pack. I can smell it, it smells pretty good. I may just go ahead and add a little bit more salt to it. I just tasted a little bit of it. It's definitely seasoned, so that's awesome. So we don't need to add anything else to that. It's probably too late now, but I'm now covered in flour and I should have had this on. So it's going on now. Okay, so we are just gonna set aside this flour bag. And guys, I have decided not to make the buttermilk biscuits tonight. I asked Steven and he just said, no, it's fine. So we're not gonna make them tonight, but I will make them with you in the future on a video because I absolutely love that recipe. So it says to a large dish. So I'm just gonna use this Pyrex cake pan. What we are gonna do is we are gonna mix together 2 eggs at room temperature. So, I don't know if you've seen the video where I cracked a bad egg. I am now really gonna be very much cracking into this and then adding it to it. We're gonna add a tablespoon of hot sauce. This is just hot sauce that I'd actually made with peppers from our garden this year. I made 2, I think I was able to make actually 3 bottles of it. And it is really, really good. It is very much like a Tabasco sauce. It's super good. If you don't really like stuff super spicy, then obviously don't put as much in, but we like our spice. Then you are going to add 2 tablespoons of buttermilk to this. This is just that buttermilk we made earlier. Then you're gonna add a 1/4 cup of water. And we just need to mix this all good together. I'm just gonna push that aside for a minute. What we're gonna do now is we are gonna coat the chickens very lightly in the flour mixture and shake off the excess. So we'll just put it in and then just shake it. Then we're just gonna shake off the excess and put them on a tray. Okay, and she does say just to let these rest for a couple of minutes, just so that some of that flour can get absorbed. And we need to do this before we can move on to the next step, which is the egg wash. So I am just gonna leave these sit probably for about 5 minutes so that they can get good and absorbed. And I'm gonna wash my hands in the meantime. So I was going to do mashed potatoes with my canned potatoes, but I've actually decided against it. I am just going to do some just regular roasted potatoes. We both really like them, so I think it'll taste really good. The other thing is I'm not making a gravy, so I usually like a gravy with my mashed potatoes, especially if doing like a fried chicken. So we're not gonna do a gravy, so I just decided we're just gonna do some roasted potatoes. So I'm gonna get my oven preheated at 400 degrees. I've got my cookie sheet out already with my silicone liner on it, and we have a gallon here, or not gallon, a quart of potatoes. So we're just gonna get them rinsed off. I am just going to chop them a little bit smaller because when I can my potatoes, I can them in fairly large chunks. It just makes for an easier canning process. But I don't like my roasted potatoes like that size. So I am just going to like quarter them. So we have them all quartered up. So now I'm just going to add some avocado oil to this. Quite a bit of salt. I would say maybe like 2 teaspoons of salt. We're gonna add about 3/4 teaspoon of pepper. And this is all to your taste. So you can customize this to however you want your stuff to be flavored with. This is just kind of the flavor combination that I found that I really like and Steven really likes. So I'm gonna add some smoked paprika, and I would say maybe like 1/2 teaspoon. And about 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder also. This is so... I'm gonna use the stuff that I made. This is just my own dried onion. So it's like an onion granule or more than a powder. And it's still clumpy. It's not as And then we're gonna add about half a teaspoon of garlic powder, and then maybe like a 1/4 teaspoon of ground mustard. And then I like a little heat, so I add some crushed red pepper flakes. I just stir it all up just so that all the potatoes are evenly coated with all that seasoning mix. And I also make sure that there's enough oil kind of covering them. And because we are using the silicone liner, we don't need to like add anything to the baking sheet. And we're just gonna spread them out so that they have a lot of room and they crisp up well. And if they're touching each other, then they tend not to get as crispy. So you kind of want them spread out a little bit. Okay, and then we'll just wait for our oven to preheat. So I've let the flour absorb. You can kind of see how it's absorbed into it a bit. So now what we're gonna do is we are going to take these and we are going to submerge them and dunk them into this egg mixture. And then immediately after, we are going to put it into the flour mixture here and shake it. And again, shake off the excess and put it back onto this tray. We're gonna do that for all of them. Okay, so it says we have to let these rest for 15 minutes just so that flour can get good and absorbed. Wash my hands again. So we are done with this egg mixture and this flour mixture, so it can go into the garbage. And that's our oven, so let's get these in the oven. Something in there, so it's a little smoky. Okay, so we're gonna set the timer for 25 minutes for these. And we'll probably come halfway through the cooking process and just give them like a quick flip. So it's not quite been 15 minutes, but what I want to do is I actually want to get my air fryer preheated. Now, she does not give exact direction on how long you need to cook it for and what exact temperature. It just says cook according to your air fryer. She does say that she cooked at 350 degrees for about 18 minutes. So we are going to preheat the air fryer. I usually preheat for 7 minutes, and we will preheat at 350. And I am using just this Ninja one. It does have a fairly small basket on it, and she does mention in it that you cannot overcrowd them because that will result in a very mushy drumstick. You want to make sure that there's air to flow to so that they crisp up. So in her particular air fryer, she can only do actually 3 at a time, which is what I'm thinking I am only going to be able to do in mine also. I also got out my spritzer. This is just to spritz the drumsticks, but we will get to that. So let me get this preheated. Steven has asked for carrots, and he wanted the carrots that I actually picked today, but they're not going to be enough for both of us, unfortunately. So I just got a can of carrots out, and I will just preheat these. I do need to check on our potatoes though and flip them. The smoke that's coming out is not from the potatoes, it's from when I made the pizza. I had a garlic butter and it all came off the pizza and I have to clean my oven. So that's what that's from. Just giving them like a light little toss. We'll get these carrots rinsed off. Now I use my microwave for quite a bit of things out of convenience, but cooked carrots you can definitely put them in, like you can cook them on the stovetop. You don't have to use the microwave. I just do it out of pure convenience. Guys, for tonight's supper, we were able to use drumsticks that were in the freezer that were starting to get freezer burn. We were able to use a can of carrots and a can of potatoes. I love taking empty jars out of my dishwasher every single morning. It makes me feel so good about canning stuff. It makes me actually feel like I'm canning stuff, like all that work is going into making dinners for me so much easier. I love it. Okay, so our air fryer is all hot. So what we're gonna do is we are going to, I can't tell which ones I took the skin off of and which ones are non-skinned. So we'll just hope for the best. We will put what I think is the non-skin ones in. Okay, and so like I thought, I can only fit 3 in my basket. And again, I don't want to overcrowd them. So I'm gonna spritz them with this, and she says to spritz them really good. So we are gonna put them in at 350, and I'm gonna put them in for 10 minutes because I need to flip them halfway. I'm gonna do it for 20 minutes. I'm gonna cook, they're fairly big drumsticks. So I'm gonna do 10 minutes, and that way it beeps so I know to come in here and then flip them, and then I'm gonna re-put them on for another 10 minutes. I will also respray them when I am flipping them. So I'll flip them, do that spurts again, set the timer again at 350 for another 10 minutes. So this went off, so we are going to flip them. This is what they're looking like so far. We're just gonna give them a flip. Be very gentle with it because you don't want that breading to come off. And then definitely re-spray them because they are looking dry. I might actually re-spray the other side too. Okay, and we're gonna put them back in for another 10 minutes. Same temperature, 350. Our potatoes are getting close. I just checked them. They probably need about another 10 minutes. So I just set the timer for that, and that's gonna go at the same time. All right, it just dinged. Okay guys, that's what those look like. They look pretty darn good. So we have to do the other 3 now. The potatoes are done, so I took them out. So let's just get these 3 in here. Again, we'll do 10 minutes, come flip them, and then another 10 minutes. I love the air fryer, like really love it, but I have such a small air fryer that it really takes a really long time to do stuff because I usually have to do it in batches. So I should have started this a lot earlier because we're almost at 7 o'clock and my stomach is growling, so I can't wait to eat. Okay, 10 minutes and then we'll come flip and respray. So we're gonna wait for those to finish. I will come back and show you guys once they are done what the final product looks like. I'll cut one open with you guys. But I wanted to thank you guys for watching the video, and I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. I hope you guys have a great day or night whenever you're watching this, and I will see you on the next video. Bye guys. Okay, there's my plate, and this is the chicken. Kind of show you guys inside. It's perfectly cooked, and I had a little bite, and it is really, really good. So I am super, super pleased with this recipe. It is a winner. So I will link that for you guys in the description.